Good morning, my dear students of class 6. Welcome to the online class. Today we are doing the last portion of this chapter, the human digestive system. And today we are going to learn the following topics: the process of digestion, enzymes and their functions, indigestion, healthy and unhealthy eating habits, way to keep oneself healthy. Now let us learn one by one, starting with the process of digestion. All of us, we have studied about digestion, how it takes place. Once again we are going to do it. For you, this is very important to know the definition of digestion. The process of digestion involves the breakdown of complex food molecules into simpler food molecules. So digestion is all about converting complex food into simpler form, which can be absorbed by the blood. This simpler form of food get easily absorbed in the bloodstream and provide energy and help in the growth and development of body. So whatever energy we get from the digested food, it is utilized for our growth and development, and we require this energy for our day-to-day activities as well. Now let us understand this by dividing it into 5 different stages. The first stage is breakdown of carbohydrates in our mouth. So this is the diagram of mouth. You can see the salivary glands, the tongue and the teeth. All of us, we have got teeth in our mouth. That helps a lot, and we call it mechanical digestion. The digestion starts in your mouth itself. During this stage, food is chewed by teeth present in the mouth cavity and is converted into smaller pieces. We have already discussed all this. And when we chew the food, at the same time, these 3 salivary glands, they secrete saliva, which get mixed with the food, and food softens and it turns into a semi-solid ball, which is called bolus. Now here saliva contains an enzyme which is called salivary amylase or ptyalin. Commonly we call it ptyalin. And what this ptyalin does, it helps in the breakdown of maltose. It works on carbohydrates, it works on starch and changes it into maltose. This enzyme is a biological catalyst. Okay, it increases the rate of reaction in our body so that digestion can take faster. So the function of ptyalin is to convert starch into maltose. Next one, we have got food in the pharynx and esophagus. Esophagus is food pipe. At this stage, no digestion of food takes place. So in the food pipe, digestion doesn't take place. This stage involves the movement of food down from the mouth into the pharynx by the tongue and further into esophagus. So once the food is turned into bolus, with the help of tongue, it goes to the pharynx, which is the end part of your mouth in the neck. Now the food is moved down to the stomach. How? The movement of food in the esophagus along the alimentary canal takes place by a series of muscle contraction. The muscles contract one after the other and produces a wave-like motion, and this is called peristalsis. So by the process of peristalsis, the food moves from the pharynx to stomach. Here you can see from pharynx to stomach. Can you see here? So this is how the muscles contract and the food goes down to the stomach, and this process is called peristalsis. When the muscles contract one after the other and producing a wave-like motion, that is called peristalsis. Now the food has come down to the stomach, the J-shaped structure. Here the food stays for a quite longer time, 2 to 3 hours. This stage involves the churning of food by rhythmic contraction of inner wall of the stomach. In the walls of stomach also you have got contractions, and that is why the food get mixed. While the churning takes place, here gastric juice, gastric juice, this is added to the food. Now in gastric juice we have got hydrochloric acid also. What this acid does, it kills the bacteria which is present in the food and also help in the breakdown of proteins. Now beside hydrochloric acid, it has got two enzymes which are found in gastric juice, that is pepsin and renin. Their function is to act on protein and convert it into simpler forms. So what pepsin does, it converts the large protein molecules into smaller protein molecules called peptones and proteoses. You can see here. So pepsin changes protein into peptones and proteoses. When we come to the end of this chapter, I will show you in the table in which digestive organ, what are the juices added to the food and what they contain, which enzyme is present and what they do, what is their reaction, how they convert the nutrients. Next one is renin. It also acts on the milk protein, and this milk protein is called casein. So it acts on casein and changes it to paracasein. Paracasein is an insoluble curd. Finally, the food comes in the form of a thick paste, and here we call it chyme, from the stomach into the small intestine. So here you can see this is the esophagus, the food pipe. The food has come here, stays here for 2 to 3 hours, and gastric juices are added to this, and protein is converted into peptones and proteoses, and casein is converted into paracasein by the help of pepsin and renin. Now from here it goes to the small intestine. Let us see that. Food in the small intestine. After 2 to 3 hours, the food moves into the small intestine. This stage can be subdivided into 3 steps that corresponds to the digestion of food in 3 parts of small intestine. Small intestine can be divided into 3 parts. And what are these 3 parts? The first is duodenum, the second one is jejunum, and the third one is ileum. Usually what we think is digestion takes place only in the stomach, and that is not true. It starts in the mouth, then in the stomach, and maximum digestion takes place in small intestine. Duodenum is the first part, just from the stomach. When it comes to the small intestine, that first part, the anterior part, is called duodenum. Bile juice from the gallbladder and pancreatic juice from the pancreas, this mix with the food. So 2 things are important here. First one is bile juice, which comes from the gallbladder, and pancreatic juice, which comes from the pancreas. It is added to the food, and the enzymes act upon the food in the duodenum. The action of enzymes produced in the small intestine digests the food. Now let us see what happens. Bile. The bile is produced in the liver and gets stored in the gallbladder. Liver produces bile, but it is stored in the gallbladder. It also results in the breakdown of fats into fat droplets. So what it does, bile juice, it helps in the digestion of fats by breaking it down into smaller molecules, and it also provides alkaline medium for enzymes to act on the food. Okay, so 2 things bile juice does. The first one is digestion of fats by breaking it down into smaller particles, and also it provides an alkaline medium so that other enzymes can act on the food. In pancreatic juice, they have got 2 enzymes, trypsin and lipase. What trypsin does? It acts on proteins, peptones and proteoses and changes them into polypeptides. Same way, lipase acts on fat droplets and change them into fatty acids and glycerol. So two enzymes are there in pancreatic juice, trypsin and lipase. In jejunum, that is the second part of the small intestine, here digestion doesn't take place. It simply comes from the food comes from the duodenum, goes to jejunum, and then it is transferred to the ileum, the last part. Here enzymes such as ellipsin, maltase, sucrase, and this is the spelling mistake, sucrase and lactase, they act upon the food. So 4 enzymes are added to the food again in the last part of small intestine. Now here, though it's look complicated, but when I show you in the chart and the table, it will be easy. Again, this will be taught in class 8, so need not to worry. Now look here, ellipsin. It acts on peptones and peptides and changes them into amino acids. Maltase acts on maltose, changes them into glucose. Sucrase acts on sucrose and changes it into glucose and fructose. And lactase, which acts on glucose and changes into galactose. Anyway, once you come to the table, it will be very, very clear. Now we have come to the end of this digestion process. Absorption of digested food. Once the food is digested in the small intestine, the last digestion takes place. The inner walls of small intestine, it has got longitudinal folds called villi. We have already discussed about this, studied about this. And because of the presence of villi, the surface area increases so that it can absorb more. They show constant back and forth motion. So these finger-like projections are there. They always move back and forth. In each villus, there is a complicated network of blood capillaries. So what happens? The digestive food, it gets diffused through the thin walls of blood capillaries. That means whatever food is digested, it is taken to the blood stream. It gets mixed with the blood. Now whatever is left in the small intestine, that is not useful for us. That is the waste material. And this is the undigested food. Now it comes to the large intestine. The undigested food is not absorbed by the blood and moves down to the large intestine. Here no digestion takes place. Only water is absorbed. So excess water is absorbed in the large intestine and the remaining waste material is stored as feces. The feces moves to the rectum and eliminated out of the body through anus, and this is called egestion. Egestion is the final stage of digestion where the undigested food or the waste products comes out of the body. It should not stay in a body. Here you can see the presence of small intestine. Once the digestion finishes in small intestine, it goes to the large intestine and then it gets collected here in the rectum, and at regular intervals it comes out of the body through anus. Now comes assimilation. Whatever food, digested food, is taken into the blood, what happens to it? All the absorbed food is not required the body at once. So the absorbed food get converted into various usable forms according to their requirements. This form of food are stored in the body until they are needed. This is called assimilation. Now glucose is oxidized to give energy. So whatever glucose is there in the digested food, it gives us energy, but everything is not required. So the excess glucose is stored in the liver as glycogen. So here you can see whatever is left over, that glucose is changed into glycogen. and whenever we require glucose, whenever we require energy, this gets converted and then we get the energy. Similarly, amino acid circulates in the body and help in building proteins. Now, the amino acids which are left, which is not utilized, they cannot be stored in the body, so they are converted into urea, and this urea is removed by the kidneys when we urinate. Okay, and the last thing here, fatty acids are converted into fats and it is stored under our skin. So this is all assimilation. Whatever digested food is there, we use that, consume that energy. Whatever is not required by the body, that is stored in the body for the future use. Now, enzymes and their functions. What are enzymes? These are the protein molecules which acts as biological catalyst. I told you in the beginning itself. What are biological catalysts? They speed up the rate of biochemical reaction in living organisms. And some important properties are there. This is not very much important for you. Okay, what is important here I'll show you. They are specific in their action. They are needed in small amounts. Okay, you don't require too much of enzymes. Small amount can act very well to digest the food in our body. Now this is important. Now here you have got the digestive part or digestive organ. Here you have got what is secreted by it, and then here what are the enzymes present in it and what is the function of the enzyme. So if you know this table, then it is very useful for you. In the mouth, saliva is secreted. It contains ptyalin, and what it does, it changes the starch to maltose. In the stomach, gastric juice is added to the food. It contains two enzymes, pepsin and renin. Pepsin changes proteins into proteoses and peptones. Same way, renin changes the milk protein, that is casein, into paracasein. Here, hydrochloric acid is also added to the food, which kills the germs. In the small intestine, in the duodenum, two juices are added, bile juice and pancreatic juice. Bile juice doesn't have any enzyme, yet it helps in the digestion of fats and also provides the alkaline medium for other enzymes to act on the food. Pancreatic juice, it has got trypsin, which changes proteins and proteoses into polypeptides and peptones, and one more enzyme is there, and that is lipase, which acts on fats and changes fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Jejunum, no digestion take place and no enzyme or juice is added to the food. Ileum, the last part of small intestine, here intestinal juices are added, which contains iriopsin, maltase, sucrase and lactase. So iriopsin acts on peptones and peptides, changes them into amino acids. Now all this, maltase, sucrase and lactose, this acts on maltase, sucrase and lactase. This acts on maltose, sucrose and lactose, and they change them into glucose. Okay, very easy for you to remember. But sucrase, other than glucose, it also gives you fructose, and lactase, it also gives you galactose. Okay, it is there in your book, so you can go through it. It will be very useful for your higher classes. It's on page number 60 and 61. Indigestion, we are very much familiar about this word. Sometimes we say, I am feeling indigestion. Why? Because either you have taken too much, either you have taken the food untimely. Okay. So usually when our stomach is upset, we say it is indigestion. It is also called dyspepsia. The many factors are involved, such as overeating. If you have eaten too fast, the food was very yummy and you had taken the food very fast. Sometimes if you are anxious, anxiety also causes indigestion. Inability to digest milk or any other milk products. Drinking, smoking, or sometimes the elder people, they drink Okay, and then the next day they have got indigestion problem, smoking, and sometimes when you don't sleep properly, if you don't get enough sleep, then also you get indigestion. When this takes place, you get these type of symptoms: pain and discomfort in the belly, bloating. What is bloating? Bloating is a general swelling of the stomach due to accumulation of fluid or gas. So you are not comfortable, that is bloating. Sense of uncomfortably full after eating. You think now you cannot eat anything, so that is it. Heartburn. Heartburn is caused due to the release of acid by the stomach, which splashes from stomach to esophagus. So you don't feel good. In your mouth also sometimes you get the bitter or sour taste. Okay, this is called esophageal reflux. So these are all the symptoms of indigestion. If you don't want indigestion, then you have to have healthy eating habits. A healthy diet helps to attain healthy weight and normal growth. A few points are there. Eat healthy food such as green leafy vegetables and fruits. Need not to explain, you know that. Eat food slowly. You need not to eat very fast as if you have to catch the train. If you eat slowly, then you will understand that, okay, now you need not to take. Sometimes you have to take fibrous rich food, that is oats and other things. Always have a regular family meal. Regular family meals means you have to take the meal at regular intervals. Suppose everybody in the family is taking food at 8 o'clock or 7:30. Then you cannot say, no, I'll be taking my food at maybe 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. So dinner or lunch or breakfast, whatever is there, should take with the family when the other members take. So there should be a regular timing for it. And whenever you eat, turn off the TV. So don't watch TV and eat the food at the same time. So healthy eating habits can transform your health. Now, unhealthy eating habits. Never skip breakfast or any other meal. Eating large amount of food in one sitting is also unhealthy. So you can eat more but at regular intervals, not everything in one shot. Eating food while watching television or working or reading or even cooking food is unhealthy. Junk food you should avoid. Oily food you should avoid, because if you take junk and oily food, you will gain weight. Then sugar, such as candies, cookies, drinks, all these things should be avoided. These are unhealthy. All these bad habits lead to weight gain, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And once you have got gain in weight and high cholesterol and high blood pressure, then you are bound to get some other dangerous diseases also. So here in the pictures you can see how people eat the junk food. So you must avoid it. Maybe once in a week you can have it, but not on the daily basis. And the last one here is how to keep yourself healthy. Eating many meals instead of 2 to 3 meals. You can take food at regular intervals instead of taking maybe 2 times only and eating more. So you can avoid that. Avoiding snacks at late night. So late night, don't go for the meals. Okay, maybe 8 o'clock, 7:30, usually here you will take the dinner. That is more than enough. Avoiding lying down immediately after eating food. People, they sleep just after finishing their meals. So one should wait for 2 to 3 hours after the meals before lying down. Avoid spicy food and coffee. So too much of coffee is also not good. And last one is avoiding smoking and chewing tobacco, that you don't do. I know that. So when you do this, you will be healthy and the diseases and germs will be away from you. With this, the chapter comes to an end. Let us stay home and let us stay safe. Have a good day.